Hi, my name is Mandy, and today we're going to be talking about the books that I DNF'd this year. For those who don't know, DNF is did not finish. These are the books that I either just couldn't handle at the moment. A couple of them I'm thinking of going back to, and other ones, they just weren't for me. The first book that I did not finish is one that I am planning on making another try at. It is Illuminated by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I know that so many people love this one on BookTube, and I tried reading it. I think it was just the wrong time of the month to read it. There is quite a bit of violence going on, and I just need to choose a better time to read it. Especially after I really enjoyed Aurora Rising this year by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. So I think I need to give it another chance, but choose a time that is not so close to my period. Illuminated is told in a mixed media format, told through transcripts and emails and schematics. I mean, it's just a really cool looking book inside. I was so excited to read it, and yeah. The next book that I DNF'd was one of my nonfiction books this year, and that was Catherine the Great by Robert K. Massey. I heard really good things about his books. He is a Russian historian and apparently has some really good books out there about Russian history. This was not one of them, at least not for me. I got about halfway through the book, and we had only just barely hit the start of her reign, and it just wasn't, like, you would get to one part and you'd hit one character that just kind of shows up in her life, and then we'd get like her entire backstory, and then we'd like continue with the story, and it was not my kind of historical nonfiction. So when I hit that halfway point, I really had no desire to keep up with the reading, so I said goodbye. The next book that I DNF'd was everybody else's favorite book of the year. I feel kind of bad about DNFing it because I did really want to enjoy it, and that was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I wanted to like this book so much. There was a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Daisy Jones and the Six is about a rock band from the 70s. It's told through interviews, and the audiobook has a full cast narration, and I heard that the audiobook was so good. So I checked it out from Libby through my library. It just hit some of my triggers. You've got a lot of trigger warnings for sex and alcohol and drugs, and it just hit some of mine in the wrong way. And as I was reading it, I just felt not good inside. As I was just feeling that way, I said, you know what? Maybe everybody else loves this book, but it's not for me. The next book that I DNF'd was The Princess Diaries by Carrie Fisher. This is Carrie Fisher's memoirs of when she was filming the first Star Wars movie. And since I'm a huge Star Wars fan, I thought I would love it. Carrie Fisher is, or I guess she was, so funny. If you've watched interviews by her, she's hilarious, and it was read by the author. Some of you may remember that this is the book where she outed an affair that she had with Harrison Ford during the filming of the first Star Wars movie. The beginning was really good. Carrie Fisher was on fire, she was so funny, and then it became all about the affair, and I did not care for it very much. And then after that, we got the transcripts of her diaries that she wrote when she was filming that movie. And while we got her diary, there was no explanation of what was happening, and the diary entries were really confusing, and I had no idea what was going on, and I had no idea how long the diary entries would go on, and I just couldn't, so I stopped. The next book that I DNF'd was a book that has been sitting on my shelf forever. Earlier this year, I went through my TBR and took off all the books that I knew I was never going to read. And the only reason why I kept this book on my TBR was because I had a copy of it. I probably wouldn't have bothered trying to find a copy if I didn't already have a copy. I figured it was time to finally give it a try. And I got through one chapter and I couldn't do it. It is She's Got the Beat by Nancy Krulik. It's supposed to be about a girl who goes off to college and decides to be a drummer. This is one of the Simon Pulse romantic comedies that I have talked about on my channel before. They're basically cotton candy stories. Quick reads. They're all mass market paperbacks. And I don't know, there's something about the character. She did not seem very relatable to me, and she was kind of selfish. And I just was like, you know what, I'm not going to spend my time reading this. And so I got rid of the book. And then the last book that I DNF'd this year, there weren't actually too many DNFs. There were more I'm not going to finish this series books rather than DNFs. But the last book was Little Miss Red by Robin Palmer. Robin Palmer does contemporary, modern day fairy tale retellings. And while I have enjoyed a couple of her books in the past, this one I could not get myself into. It's supposed to be a Little Red Riding Hood retelling. You have this girl, she's on a plane to go visit her grandparents, and then tall, dark, sexy, smoldering man comes and sits next to each other, or next to her, and it was awful. I tried to get myself, I told myself, finish the first chapter and then make your decision, and it took so much to finish that first chapter. I couldn't do it. Main character was kind of full of herself. I just didn't like her, and I didn't want to read a whole story told by her, so yeah, I DNF'd. So there you have it. Those are all the books that I did not finish this year. As I said, there's not too many of them, but I hope you won't hate me for not finishing Daisy Jones and the Six. I really did feel like I was letting BookTube down when I was DNFing it. But you know, not every book is for everyone. What books did you guys not finish this year? It's okay if you chose not to finish any of my favorites, because I probably chose not to finish your favorite. Let me know what you did not finish this year. I'd love to hear about it. I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, feel free to click subscribe. You can also follow me on my social media, which I will link down below. I hope you're having a great bookish day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!